Hello class, welcome back. So what I did off screen is that I went to my entity, I realized I made a little boo-boo here, and I had my created at as creator at. I fixed that, I generated my migrations again and ran them, so you probably didn't make this mistake, so nothing to worry about here. I also updated the TS config, and I added a couple of options here, and don't worry about them too much, I'm just going to explain them briefly so that you know what these are. So these are some strict type checking stuff. So you have no implicit any, meaning each time you have a variable, you have to give it a type, and if it's not inferred by the TS server, it will error out. Strict null checks, exactly that. You can't have an object or like a value of a variable be null and then later maybe use it for something. Function types is exactly that. Every function has to have a type, either inferred or typed by yourself. Strict bind call, don't worry about that. And then this, I commented out, I'll explain in a second. No implicit this is like you have to specify this as well as something that is very niche, doesn't come up a lot. And then this is some extra stuff like no unused locals is like you can't have variables and then not use them and then run your code. No unused parameters is as well the same rule but for function parameters. And then this is just for switches. And then this allows us to import JSON files and then as well infer types from their values. Now, you could actually, up here, you could just say strict set to true, and it will enable all these 6 ones here. But I really don't like this one, and it messes with our code. So I just commented it out and just enabled these 5 instead. So usually what I do is that if one of these options annoys me during development, I'm just going to turn it off. And before I test my code or deploy it or push it to the server, I'm going to turn it on again and then do all those changes like in like 2 seconds. So I'm going to save this and see if it raises any problems. So I'm going to go through the files. So nothing here. Okay, here, so there are these imports that I forgot to remove. So I'm going to remove them. And then here, nothing. Oh, okay, we have this. Remove this. And here as well, nothing. That's cool. So the middleware. Okay, so this is this is the null check thing. So here it doesn't know, from the environment, this might not exist. A simple workaround is to add an exclamation mark telling it that this will be required. So it's gonna be there. What else? So in the trim, okay, so I got this res, we're not using it, so just do underscore and that will be the solution for it. Here in the auth, by the way, you could why is it not working? I wanted to show you how you could step into these. Okay, now it's working. In VS Code, by default, you can click F8 and it will go to the next problem like this. It will just keep going and showing you all the issues and warnings you have. So here it says, not all code paths return a value, and that's... oh, I have an empty catch block here. I didn't notice that. So I'm just going to console log the error here and the return res.json. And this is the auth. What is this? This is the login route. So if it fails, actually we did all the validation. So if it fails, it's probably not validation, it's something more serious. So we're just going to say error and something went wrong. Ideally in a production thing here, you will actually send a error report to like something like roll bar or sentry or something like that. So here on same thing, gonna add an exclamation mark. And okay, let me check. Yeah, here we have this import, it's redundant. It's not being used, so I'm just gonna remove it. Posts, there are no issues. Cool, looks like there are no issues. So let's try to run our server. npm run dev. Okay, there was one remaining. Okay, by the way, you can as well check by running tsc. Or actually, if you don't have it globally, you have it installed in this project, you can say npx tsc. And that will like run the compiler and compile your code. And actually you could as well, let me remove to demonstrate. So remove the build folder. And you could just say tsc --no emit -no -emit, which will run it without building. Oh, apparently it's camel cased. So let me run that. So --no emit like that, which will run the TS server, but without actually building your code, which I thought would be much faster, but apparently it's not that big of a difference. So, okay, so we have this problem in the auth, so you can control and click this to go to that file and exactly to that line. Okay, that was fixed. I just didn't save my file. Okay, it should work now. npm run dev. And there we go. Everything runs perfectly. I'm gonna turn off the synchronize because I have everything in migrations. So let's go here, synchronize, set that to false, and let's see what happens now. It shouldn't synchronize, obviously. Yeah, cool. So my server is running. I'm gonna try to log in just to check. Cool, everything is working. All right, so now we can actually get to the actual code. All right, before we get going, I want to remind you to please like this video, and of course subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell button so you get all of these cool videos that I release all the time. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna close everything, and let's go to posts. Okay, I'm gonna close these folders as well. So go to routes, posts, and I want to add here a route to fetch all the recent posts. So this will be in the home page where you just, when you visit the home page, you want to see all the latest posts from all the different subs. So I'm going to close this sidebar, and here I'll say const, or actually I'm going to use that nfn snippet, and here say get posts, and as usual, request, response, like that. And here we can actually just do our try catch block and say const posts equals await post dot find, and here we don't take any condition, so that's fine, and we just say return res dot json posts, and we'll say catch error. Oh, I made a typo here. And if we get an error, I'm just gonna console log it and then just return res dot json and say error. Something went wrong. I could probably create like a wrapper for these async handlers and just return this, but it's okay. We might do some refactoring later. So it's already complaining this is not being used, and this request is not being used, so I'm going to omit it. And here I'm going to duplicate this, change this into a get. And for this, actually it doesn't need the auth middleware. Anyone can see the posts, they're public, and do that and save. And let's test it out. So let's go to postman. So posts, and yeah, I got this read here. So /API/post, and it's a get request. Let's send this. And there we go. We get our posts, which is just one right now. Let me create another one just to have more data to work with. So this will be second post, and second post about React. Run this. And now if we go to the read, we get, let me make this bigger, we get the first post and the second post. Okay, so I want to order them by created at so that we get the latest first. So let's go back to our code. So here in the find, we can give it some options, and we can say order, and this will be an object, and we'll say by created at, and the order is descending. So save this and now run it again. There we go, we get second post first and then first post second. I'm also gonna add another option here called relations, and here we'll give a list of relations that we want to fetch, and here will be just the sub relation because I want to get the subreddit that is attached to every post because we're gonna need it in UI. So if we go ahead and run this, we get with every post we get as well the sub with it. Actually, I just realized we have subname as a row, as a column on that row, so I don't think we need the sub. Okay, scrap that. We don't need the sub. Sorry, I'm just gonna remove that. I'm gonna create another route if we're getting just one post. So let's copy this and paste it, and this will be just get post. And here we're gonna get something from the request. So let's just bring this back into a request, and let's destructure. What do we need? We need, so we're gonna send the identifier and also the slug as part of the URL, and then we're gonna take those and based on those find the post and return it. So here we'll get the identifier and also the slug, and here we'll say from request.params, so the request parameters, and here we'll say const post singular await post.find, and here we'll use a condition, so we can just actually we could just do this and say identifier. Why I'm not getting autocomplete, and slug, and then we could use find or fail. So find one or fail. So if it fails, it's going to return an error. And actually here, if it returns an error, I'm just going to say error or actually just error, and we say post not found, because if there's an error here, it must be that the post is not found. So you can just say dot status, which I realized has to be here as well because this shouldn't be 200 status code. So we'll say for both status, actually up there is 500, and say dot, and down here should be 404 for not found. And here we just return a JSON with that post in the body. And let's create a route for that. So router.get, and this will be to slash, so the identifier has to be first. So slash colon identifier slash colon slug, and yeah, that's it. And then the handler will be the get post, and of course it's public as well. So save that and let's check if that's working. So let's try to fetch, let's say we want to fetch the first post. So we have this identifier, so let's copy that. And the slug is just first underscore post. So I already have this find endpoint here. So I'm going to remove all of this. So this is to slash API slash posts slash, let's paste that identifier and then do slash first underscore post. Run this. And there we go. We just get that post as a singular post. And here I'm going to get the sub as well, because we're going to need to put the sub on the right hand side. I think we do. Okay, I'm just going to add it. And if we don't later, I'm just going to remove it. Relations. Actually, how do I add the relations here? To add another object. Oops, relations. Yeah, you add another object for options for find one or fill. And here we say relations, array, sub, like that. Let's test it out. Okay, post not found. Probably not the case. So do not found the entity. Okay, that's strange. I just restart my server and ran it, and it worked. Okay, maybe it just didn't compile, and I quickly ran it. Okay, so that's working. Next, I want to work on comments. So I want to allow the users to submit comments to posts. So let's create that model first. So let's go to our file explorer, and in entities, I'm going to create a new file, comment.ts, uppercase C, of course. And here we're going to need to import that entity that we created. So import entity from same directory entity. And here we'll have, actually we need entity as well from TypeORM. So let's say import destructure entity as TO entity, like we did in the other ones, from TypeORM. And here we'll say at TO entity, and the name of the table will be comments, like that. And here we'll say class comment extends, ooh, I can't type, extends entity. And here we'll have our constructor, which I'm just going to copy from post. So I'm going to copy this and then paste it there, change this and this to lowercase comment and this to uppercase comment, uppercase C comment. And here let's say export default class comment. And comments as well are going to have an identifier. So I'm going to say add column, and actually let VS Code import that. Actually, I put it with two N's here, so that's a typo. And here let's say identifier, and that's a string. And I'm just going to duplicate this 2 more times. And here we'll have a body of the comment, and we'll have the username of the user that submitted it. I'll explain why this exists. And now we're going to have a relation to the user itself. So actually, we can grab this from the post. So just copy this and paste it here. Import the decorators. So here the relation will return a type of user. And here we don't need to set up like a user return user.comments, because we're not going to need a place where we fetch just the comments of a user. So we don't need to set up this inverse relation. We can just keep it like this. And make sure to import the user model. And here the join column will be username, and it references username. That's fine. And it returns to us a user object like that. That's okay. And let's actually do the same for post, because every comment belongs to a post. And it's a many to one as well, because every post has many comments. And here we're going to set up the inverse relation. So this will be post. And let's import that. Here we can say post returns post.comments. And we're going to set this in a second. So we have, the join column, we're going to join on ID and say post. Actually, I think this is the default. It joins on the primary column, which is the ID. So I'm just going to omit completely that join column, and that should work. And it's going to produce a post ID field. So this is post, and it's of type post. And let's create another before insert, which creates an identifier for the comment. And for comments, so let's import this decorator and import make ID. and then remove this slug because comments don't have slugs. And I'm going to make the identifier of the comments of 8 length, because that gives us more probabilities to get, we have a way bigger amount of comments than posts, so it makes more sense. And I think that's the case as well. I think in Reddit, it's 6 for the posts and 7 for the comments, and I just incremented them by 1. Let's go ahead and set up this comments relation on the post model. So here in post, we can say at 1 to many, and then here this will return a type of comment. And I don't think we need to set up the inverse of this. And here we'll say add join column. I think this is default, so we don't need to add this. So let's just say comments of type comment array, and let's import the comment model. And here it says argument the inverse side was not provided. Okay, so we do have to set up the inverse because this is from this side, because it's not this table that holds the foreign key. So we have to say you take the comment and then you get back the comment dot post. All right, save this and also save the comment. And now let's generate a migration for the comment. So let's open our terminal, close the server. Actually, did it synchronize? No, I didn't synchronize. I turned it off. So let's say npm run TypeORM. Actually, let me see if I need to add an index here. Actually, yeah, let's add an index for identifier. So index, and make sure that's imported. And here, let me separate the absolute imports from the relative ones. I'm going to put the utility stuff under the entities, and everything should be good. All right, save that and let's go. So npm run TypeORM migration generate dash dash to pass these options, and then dash dash name will say create comments table. Run that. Okay, now run npm run migration. Oh, not migration. TypeORM migration run. Hit enter. All right, that's executed. So let's check our database. So I'm already connected to it. So let's do /dt. We get a comments table, and then /d comments. We indeed get that table with the foreign key constraints and also the index on the identifier and the fields that we specified. Okay, that's strange. The post ID is nullable. Okay, so I don't want this to happen. So let me see. So we need to revert that last migration. So it should be, let's do migration help. Is that a thing? No, migration. Okay, it shows us here. So again, migration, revert. Yes, this one. So this will undo that last migration. So revert. All right, so it undid that last migration. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it and generate it again. So we have create comments table. I don't want to run this. So I'm just going to, here where we have the post, where is it here? We could just say, add some options and say nullable equal set to false. And now let's generate that migration again. And then let's try to run it. So migration run. And now let's go and check our database. So describe comments. There we go. So now post ID is not nullable. That's the exact behavior that I intended it. Cool. So let's now, let's run our server and then write some code. All right. So let's go to, I'm going to close this. I'm going to close the post model or entity. I keep saying model. So here in, I would create a routes file for it, but we don't have that many routes for comments. I'm just going to add it here. So underneath everything, let's say const comment on post equals, and this will be an async handler. And here we'll say request, the usual request, and then response of type response. And then here we're going to do something. And actually, we only get one thing for comments, which is from the body, which is the body of the comment. And we also get the identifier and the slug, just like we do here. So we can copy these. So the idea is that, let me actually write the route for it to make sense. I'm going to duplicate this and here say post. So we're going to send the post request at :identifier :slug / comments. And here it will be the comment on post handler. So we need to send details about what post we want to comment on. And then in the request body, the body of the comment, the content of the comment that we want to send. So here we'll also destructure that. So destructure body from request.body, which is kind of actually, we're destructuring just one property. So it makes more sense to write it like this. So request.body.body. So let's here do our try catch block. And then inside of the try, let's actually fetch the post first. So we'll say const post equals await post dot find one or fail. And we're going to try to find it by identifier and by the slug. It's very similar to the get post, so I might actually do some refactoring later. We'll see. If there's a lot of repetition, I'm going to do some refactoring. So here let's say const comment equals, and let's create this comment. So we'll say new comment, and we're going to pass it. Why did it didn't close that parenthesis? That was strange. So the body will be the body, so we can just leave it like that. Which actually now it reminds me that we need the user. So here this needs to have the auth middleware, because obviously you have to be logged in to post a comment. So here, because we added the auth middleware, we're going to have access to the response.locals.user. So we can just say user equals response.locals.user. And we're going to have the post itself. Type post is missing the following properties from type promise constructor. Let me check this line of code. Oh, they did a typo here. Okay, so this is supposed to be just post from, from the entity post. All right, so that should solve it. Cool. So let's say, let's save our comment. So say await comment.save, and let's return it. So return res.json comment. Comment. And if we get an error, the usual, just console log that error. And we could get an error because the post is not found, or also that's probably the only problem that we're going to get. So here we can say return res.status, status 404 .json error post not found. All right, save that. Let's give it a test. So let's go to Postman. I already have the route here, so that will be /posts. Okay, I already have actually the ID, the identifier, but that's the wrong identifier. So let's copy the identifier and the slug of a post. For me, it's going to be this identifier and the first post, and /comments, and it's a post request. And in the body, I already have a body which says nice post. So let's run this. And there we go. We get nice post, and we get also the user and the post that it's attached to. And we can actually test what we can test now. Let's go to the post. So the get post, we can add the comments relation. So here's a comments and save. And let's fetch this post again, and let's see if that comment is there. All right, so we get the post, we get the sub, and we indeed get an array of comments, and we have our comment stored there. So we know that it's working and it's persisting the comments to the database. Now I'm going to remove this because I know later in the UI we're going to be fetching comments separately because of what you'll see later as well. There's like some added complexity to that. All right, let's save this, and I think that's it for this video. So in the next one, I think in the next one, we're going to start already on the next app because I don't want to finish everything on the back end, and I want to keep switching between them for it to make a little bit more of sense. Again, please do smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. Bro, subscribe right now. All right. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.